Hello, you are listening to the Food and Drink Show on Radio Reverb, and of course that's 97.2 FM, and maybe some of you are listening online as well. Well, it's so lovely when we come to December because not only do we get to talk about food, but it's all the trimmings, I think, isn't it? It's the cheese, it's the chocolate, it's the wines, and it's maybe tempting you to try things that you wouldn't normally. This is treat time. And I am so pleased that we've got Louise Oliver from Seven Cellars in Brighton with us now to tempt us with hopefully some little treats for Christmas. Louise, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So Louise, I love now this wonderful spread that you have in front of us here because we've got everything from wines to beers to whiskies, and we're even going to have something that it's not a tequila, but it's something else. Listeners, listen out for it. It's going to be great. But Louise, one of the things that is amazing, there was some statistics brought out to say that really here in the UK, we play safe. We go looking at a label and we either look for Pinot Grigio, the biggest seller in white wine. Then we've got Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc coming up then the ranks, but Pinot Grigio is number one. But no, and it's about a fear factor of trying something different. And also over 50% of people when interviewed, over 2,000 people were interviewed, didn't actually know much about grapes or how wine was made. And in the reds, people were safer going for, there's a Merlot, a Malbec, or a Spanish Rioja. And that's all people look for on the label to play safe, either in eating out or buying in a supermarket. So that's why it's so great to have you here as an independent, wine expert to introduce us to some new things, particularly at Christmas and New Year when we want something exciting. So what are we going to start with today?
Today we're going to start with one of my favourite wines in the shop. It's Lambrusco. So
really?
Yes.
One of your favourite wines is a Lambrusco.
It is one of my favourite wines. I absolutely love it. And it's particularly festive. Lambrusco is the name of the grape. It's a red grape and it's grown in a region called Lazio, which is where this is all grown, and in Italy. It's a red sparkling wine and it's so popular in Italy with the Italians because it's such a flexible wine. It goes with canapes. You could pair it with any Italian food like spaghetti bolognese or just general canapes and starters and that sort of thing. It's really a delicious wine, and it's different and it's fun. So for me, it's not Christmas without having some Lambrusco. It really isn't.
I'm so keen to try it. So we're going to have a little taste now of it because I have, last year actually, funny enough, I did go for a sparkling red just to try to be a little bit different, and I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And it came as a recommendation, so I was so pleased. And what I also like as well too is that it's not a new world wine. You're sticking with it coming from Italy, so we're not going to be overpowering. So what sort of percent is in this Lambrusco?
This is 12.5%.
Okay,
so it's a good party wine.
Yeah, it is.
It's also natural and biodynamic. I don't know if you know what that means, but it's organic and it's made naturally. So that means the winemaker hasn't added lots of wine packet yeast. It's all of the fermentation has happened spontaneously. The biodynamic movement was really formed by a guy called Rudolf Steiner. If you've ever heard of the Steiner school movement, it's the same chap.
Really? What a clever man.
Yeah, exactly. So he designed a series of techniques for the vineyard, and it starts with the growing and the planting. So if you want to use any fertilizers, he prescribes a particular set of ways of getting the fertilizer. You bury a cow horn full of manure and things for a long time, and then you use that on the grapes. you will use chickens, and you'll have they will peck at the grubs around. And the whole idea is that the vineyard is part of the universe. And so you don't necessarily have any vehicles on site which have got fuel, so it's all electric vehicles, that sort of thing. And it's really a very careful way of making grapes. And so consequently, lots of the wines are particularly good because it's taken such care and attention in every stage of the process.
It's like everything in life, isn't it? They say if it's the preparation, like painting and decorating, get the preparation right,
Yes,
and it makes life easier. But we're talking about flavour and taste. So it's fizzing up beautifully in the glass, and it is that ruby red colour as well too. And we're going to give a little...
So lots of dark fruits.
Lovely.
Black currant, black cherry, little slightly sort of sour black cherry on the palate. It's really nice. A lot of length on the
There's
palate.
a lot of length on the palate.
That
And for anyone
just keeps going and going.
what
and
is
going.
length on the palate? It's just you keep getting those flavours, and there's a lasting note, which is the black sort of currant or black fruit or something.
Yeah, black cherry. I really taste
You're
that.
absolutely right, coming through at the end. I get a sense of joy when that happens, because when people say, oh, that's a load of nonsense talking about that, but actually when you have something that's good, you do. It
really
keeps
notice
going
it,
on,
don't you? Yeah.
You just need to take the time and savour what you're drinking. Just enjoy. And not like me, drink and talk at the same time. Just enjoy the moment, which is lovely.
The great thing about using a local wine merchant, it does help you to choose different wines and be a bit more daring. Which person, not a lot of people know about Lambrusco. They might get confused with the big brand Lambrini, and it's absolutely not that at all.
Good you said that, because I think that's where we do get confused with that.
Yes. There's no shame in being confused. There's no shame in asking for something or not knowing. Any wine merchant in the city will be able to look after you and advise you on trying different wines. If you like Pinot Grigio, what can I have instead of that? And you'll get someone to tell you, well, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? There's lots of different...
That's what we want, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
So if we are having this, where you could just have this as people are arriving as an aperitif, but paired with food, what is it going to go with everything we have on the table?
I don't think it would go with everything, but it's particularly good with things like charcuterie or those, lovely roasted vegetables. You get in Italian restaurants or something, you might have a cold plate of roasted vegetables, something like artichoke hearts in oil, that sort of thing. Will pick out those flavours and match brilliantly with it.
Lovely. So I think that's great. So you can have that. And sometimes over the festive time, it's just lovely, isn't it? Having family or friends around, and you have the cheese board, you have your cold meats, whatever. And it's the cold turkey afterwards. I always think it's better, isn't it? When you have it afterwards.
Better the next day.
And you're just more relaxed as well too, and you can just nibble and chat and chill. It's just a lovely thing. So this is a sparkling red,
naturally sparkling red,
sparkling. It is sparkling Lambrusco from Italy. And what sort of price are we looking at here?
This is about £17.50.
Okay, well worth it to me. I think it's just delicious, really lovely. And remember, this is Christmas, New Year, so why not have something a little bit special on your table, which is lovely. So sparkling red, love it, love it, love it. Now, you've also got a white. So, of course, people are thinking, well, I kind of go with, I like a Pinot or I like a Sauvignon. Do you ever notice people are very clear about which they prefer? The Pinot, Chardonnay or the Sauvignon Blanc. But it goes beyond that, Louise.
It does, absolutely. You need to challenge yourself, you need to challenge your palate, because there's no point in closing your mind. There are thousands and thousands of grape varieties. And if you come into a local wine merchant, they will help you. If you like one style of wine, you might be surprised. Or if you don't like one style of wine, I mean, we get lots of people saying how much they hate Chardonnay.
Yes.
And
Chardonnay is like Marmite.
It's the ABC, anything but Chardonnay. And but Chardonnay is in Champagne, It's the main grape variety for Chablis. And these people that it's just, there's nothing wrong in saying I hate Chardonnay. There's certain styles of Chardonnay which people really don't like. That the 1980s Australian woody Chardonnay, which is all but vanished now. We don't really have that sort of wine anymore. But if you think about how Champagne has Chardonnay in it, it's a main component of some of the most elegant wines in the world, perhaps it's time to think again and revisit it.
So it's really thinking about what is that saying on the palate. So people will often read a label and just think about you're looking for dry or sweet, fruity, floral. These are the sort of terms that you get to know and think, well, I like something sweeter or something drier, isn't it? You've brought a white for us.
Yes, I have. Now, the reason I bought this wine is because it says Puy Fumé on the label. And I'm afraid to say that the French wine system is quite complicated to understand. And they don't often, they are doing more of this, but they don't often put the grape on the label. They put Puy Fumé, which is found in the Loire Valley in France. And actually, the wine inside this bottle is Sauvignon Blanc. So if you see a wine that says Puy Fumé, you don't know what it is, and you don't want to risk £17.50 on it, and I can understand why it's a lot of money to risk if you don't know if you're going to like it. And this is, again, it's about £17.50. But this is Sauvignon Blanc. If you're into New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, as lots of people are, you might want to just try this because it's so elegant, and it's like the wine that New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc wanted to be when they first came out with Sauvignon Blanc. And actually, over the years, I think New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc has become really a very different beast to how it started. It's very strong, and it's very strong tasting wine. And whilst lots of people love that, some people aren't so keen on it, and they think it's a bit strong tasting. Well, try this. It's so elegant and so refined, and really worth having a look at, have a revisit.
So it is really a Sauvignon Blanc.
It is 100%.
However, it's Puy Fumé.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Well, this means it's the region that it's from, and it's an appellation in the Loire Valley. And it comes from a specific place.
Because it is actually one of my favourite styles. I really love it. Yeah, really love it.
Okay, that's good to know.
And so I really think that that's going to be a winner. So fantastic. So a nice alternative. Remember, it's about treating yourself. And we have Louise Oliver here with me on the Food and Drink Show. We're getting festive. So we've had a surprising sparkling red. Then we've been introduced to a white. Remember, if you like Sauvignon Blanc, you're going to be really surprised and delighted by this Puy Fumé. And now we're going to have, well, you've got to have a red at Christmas.
Yeah.
You have to have a red at Christmas. So you brought something what you believe is really special, Louise.
It is special. It's from the Black Stallion winery in the Napa Valley. Mm-hmm. And I bought this specifically because I thought it would go brilliantly with Christmas dinner. Now, I was a bit naughty, and I did choose a wine that's quite expensive.
But we deserve a treat.
Yeah, we all deserve a treat at Christmas. This is around about £35 on the shelf, and it's absolutely stunning. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, which is one of my favourite grape varieties. It's very dark fruits, beautiful, with a real kind of bit of... There's a customer that called it a little bit of spite in there. So it doesn't... a little
bit of spite.
It doesn't give over too easy. It's not too fruity, not too juicy, not too like some of Ribena. It's not like that. Yeah. It doesn't give itself over too easy. It makes you... I don't know. It kind of... You have to really kind of get into it.
Because a lot of people now are thinking, I think a mature drinker of red wine will sort of steer towards a Malbec. So
Yes.
we're talking a weighty wine. Where would it be on the scale of that?
It's very full-bodied, so it's very similar and would go brilliantly with any roast dinner. Lots of those powerful flavours will stand up well against it. You know, you've got the Christmas dinner and there's lots and lots and lots of different flavours going on that plate. So I chose it specifically to go with Christmas dinner.
Fantastic. Well, and the whole thing is just to savor it. So you can have, cheaper wines, and, if you're going to your supermarket and everything, but if you just think, I'm going to sit down and savor something as a little treat. Also, I'm thinking about as a gift, because my brother will enjoy a glass of red wine, and he just enjoys one or two, but I think he would really, really appreciate that. And for somebody who has everything, what do you buy somebody who can, just go and buy anything themselves? But it's these sort of things. It's good chocolate, it's good wine, good cheese. You can't go wrong with that. So this is the Black Stallion Estate Winery from the Napa Valley. Gorgeous. A Cabernet Sauvignon. Lovely. Okay, that is really good. And you can get that, everything we're talking about today, you can get from Louise at Seven Cellars, at Seven Dials. And actually, we're going to, now, before we go on to some other drinks, you have opened at Brighton train station. So listeners, if you have been running to get the train, coffee in hand, and you did a double take and you thought, yoo-hoo, I can now go and buy some drinks to take after I finish work. So how is it going for you?
Well, it's going really, really well. We opened at the end of October and we've been so welcomed. It's been fantastic. I worked with lots of local people to get the shop open. We worked with Chloe Bullock at Materialise Interiors. She's a local lady from Hanover, and she helped me to design the space, because it's a very small little shop in the old Cards Galore unit. And she has done just such a fantastic job there, utilising every single inch of the place to make sure that there's enough of a choice for people, because that's what you want when you go into a wine shop. You want choice. So we've got lots and lots of spirits there. That's actually our top seller at the station, which is really interesting. The range of spirits is brilliant. We've got around about 200 there in that space. And also we've got beers there. So for your train beers, if you're going somewhere, if you're going on a train, you're going up to London or you're heading somewhere else, you can pick up a nice beer there. We've got lots of wines, obviously, and lots of ready-to-drink things. So Brighton gin and tonic.
Oh, don't you love I know
so
they sponsor
good.
the programme. These tins, listeners, the tins are amazing, okay? They are just so delicious. I think they far, surpass any others on the market. I know I may be a bit biased, but I don't think so. On the palate, it's just like you've made it yourself. I think it's really, really clever. So I'm glad you've got those there. Because there's nothing like having a little G&T and maybe, some nice little crispy things, and you natter and see the whole train journey off to a good start, which is great. Because some people would have said, oh my gosh, you are mad opening a new retail business.
Yes.
We're still not out of COVID. Did you have any qualms at all, Louise?
I didn't have any qualms whatsoever. I really felt that it was needed. If a wine shop is needed. I don't know. But for me, I thought it's the first place, it's the last place you can buy a drink in Brighton now. And it's brilliant to be part of such a fabulous historic building. It was built in 1841. And did you know that my shop at the Dials also built in 1841?
No!
Yeah, what a coincidence.
That was meant to be.
It was totally meant to be.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a lovely thing for you to have.
Yeah, well, it's so good. And it's been, and also, it's not just commuters that come to us. There's people that live around there that are dashing through. Lots of people walk through the station on their way to somewhere else. And we're there for all sorts of reasons, not just commuters.
Oh, fantastic. That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, you've mentioned that you've over 200 spirits,
Yes.
some of which we actually have here on the table.
Yes.
So I think before we go on to the spirits, let's look at, you've brought a beer for us to try.
Oh, yes.
And there's something lovely about that tin opening, isn't there? So if you want to open the can and tell us about this, because again, we are talking about treats and, we love chocolate and all sorts of yumminess. So we kind of have everything going on in this can. Tell us more.
We do. So this is Sussex Small Batch Brewery, and we've been basically selling these beers for quite a long time, since we opened. 6 years we've been at the Dials now, which is our birthday coming up next week.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And the chap that makes these beers, he only makes stouts. I never really got into stouts until I started trying these.
Really?
Yes. So these stouts have got, this one particularly, it's called Topical Stout. And in it, he's brewed with cocoa nibs and hazelnuts. And he's brewed something that tastes, for all the world, like a Topic chocolate bar.
No way. Okay, we got to try this. Listeners, I'm going to try this now and just say, can I get the flavour of a Topic bar? Imagine if you love beer, you love chocolate. For me, I have to say that I really, thank you, I enjoy a Guinness.
Oh, well, you're going to love this.
And, the zero alcohol Guinness is superb. The cans, if you haven't tried it, listener, that's really worth trying as well too. And Hepworth Brewery have an incredible range of stouts. I'm blown away by their beers. The Food and Drink Show, we paid a visit during the summer.
Okay.
And, the full range, but the stout, absolutely excellent. Oh, so we're getting a lovely creamy head.
Yes.
It's good and dark. Okay, that's going on there. The smell on your nose, the note. That is definitely
so
chocolate.
Yeah.
Well, that's pudding for me.
Isn't that good?
This is the one.
So
isn't it for me?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's also got another range. So he's got one that tastes like a Bounty bar, so brewed with coconuts and chocolate. And then the other one he's done is a Reese's Pieces stout, so peanuts and chocolate.
Wow. Now you're getting that sort of in the middle of the tongue. I'm getting the chocolatey notes, but I'm getting the stout, also
flavor,
there.
that bitterness.
Yeah, so it's not over sweet. I think this is delicious. You could, to have this as well, instead
really
of a port or something would be lovely.
It really would.
And if, I don't know that I'd need it. I don't know I'd need a pudding. I think I'd just say, give me a glass of this beautiful beer, stout.
Yeah.
Now, what do they retail for as cans?
These are not too bad as far as craft beer goes. Around about £3.50.
Lovely. Lovely to have a few of those. And when I've got a few stout drinkers in the family and friends, to have a few of these as something different.
Stocking fillers, they're perfect shape. Put them in the stocking.
Fabulous. Great idea.
Yeah.
A great idea as a stocking filler. Okay, we're sold on that. Hooray, hooray, hooray to Sussex Small Batch. What do they call it again? Sussex?
Sussex Small Batch, based in Worthing.
That's it. Based in Worthing.
Yeah.
Amazing. We like it. We like that a lot.
I do too.
Okay, now we could talk forever here on the Food and Drink Show with Louise Oliver from Seven Cellars, but we've got a whiskey and we have an alternative to a tequila. I want you to just tell me very quickly why you have brought this with you.
Well, I thought it was a really good gift size. It's £25. There's a little kind of hip flask style as well, so it's quite cool. It's got a cool label, really good for gifting, and it's a mezcal. So mezcal is pretty ubiquitous in Mexico, even more so than tequila. It's got a real smoky flavour to it, mezcal, which is very different from tequila, although it's made from the same plant. So the agave plant, and what they do is they take the heart from the agave plant and they roast them. And that's where you get this lovely smoky aroma from and smoky flavour. So what happens is once they've been well roasted in these big fire pits, they go into a wheel, and using a donkey, the donkey will walk the wheel round, and out will come the juice, and then that juice is distilled, and the result is mezcal. It's brilliant with a touch of lime, some ice, lime, perhaps a little squeeze of lemon or clementine, something like that. Make it a little bit Christmassy.
Yeah.
And it tastes delicious. So that's my top tip. If you like whiskey, if you're thinking, oh, what can I go? I always buy my dad a whiskey, or I always buy mum a whiskey. What can I get that's alternative? If you like a smoky whiskey, particularly, you're going to like a mezcal.
Ooh.
Don't think of it as that nasty drink that you have before you throw up in a nightclub. It's not that. This is all different, altogether different. This is really... I'm talking from experience here.
Yeah, okay, and I'm laughing with experience as well. You know what I mean? Oh, yes.
This is really well made, well crafted, artisanal product.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now, as you said, it's perfect for going into a stocking or a gift size. Yeah. What sort of price are we looking at here?
£25.
£25. Love it. And the label as well is very earthy, and it kind of has a Mexican look. It's sort of really a cream label with red writing on it, and there's a bull on there as well. I think that is a bull, isn't it, with horns?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very cool, and you can use the bottle afterwards as well, because it's got one of those stoppers at the top, which is great. So wonderful. And last but not least, we are going to have a little nip of whiskey. Ooh. Because Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without a little nip of whiskey. But I know you've decided on Scottish and not Irish, and I will not take offence, Louise, because you'll have done this with good reason, okay? But there is, and it's because you're an expert with taste and you're thinking about what people are eating or drinking. So tell us why you have selected this whiskey.
Well, Ben Romack is a really good distillery up in Speyside, mm-hmm. and this is a kind of...
Oh, that pop. Oh.
This is a light, fruity and elegant whiskey. It's a single malt, and it is from the region of Speyside, which is getting more and more popular when it comes to...
just a small one.
Whiskey.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can have different types of whiskey. You can have Highland, Lowland, Islay, and of course, Irish.
Yes.
And we've got a particularly good selection of whiskies at the shop, at both shops. And this is just one that I like particularly because I'm not really into the smoky whiskey.
I'm not either.
I find that a little bit too fierce on the palate. But this, it's really smooth.
It is, but there's still that little bit of a kick.
It's been aged for 10 years.
And it is definitely a Scotch whiskey. Mm. You know, you can really tell that on the back of the tongue, but it's still smooth. And so if people are keen on... What is nice about this is that it's a good all-rounder, I think.
It is a good all-rounder, yes. It's been aged in oak for 10 years. Mm. Whiskies don't age in the bottle. Did you know that? It's not. It's the age statement is for the time it spends in a cask, and so you are getting some of that char, a little kick of smoke, some of that char from the barrel. So they toast the barrels before the whiskies go in, and it depends on how much they toast it as to how charred and smoky it becomes. So this is my top tip. It's under 40 quid, and it's on sale now.
Oh. Do you know, this is really lovely because I would normally not be so keen on going Scottish. It's not
I wonder
because...
why.
Well, it is that I have my favourites of the Irish whiskies, but there's often a smokiness that I'm not as keen on. But this, it's
well
really
integrated.
interesting.
Yes.
And just to savour the notes. Now, what would you eat with this? Because this is the thing too, again, just thinking about those lovely, just casual gatherings, or maybe after you've had your pudding and you're going to have your cheese course in true continental
You could certainly
style.
have this with cheese. This would be lovely with cheese. It would be lovely with mince pies. It would be lovely with Christmas pudding. That's what I would generally have it
So
with.
you could have a wee tot with your Christmas pudding, flame a
Yes.
little bit over the Christmas pudding,
Certainly.
and then enjoy. Because let's face it, we based our Christmas cakes and Christmas puddings in alcohol, often a whiskey or a brandy. So I think that's really nice. So goes well with everything that we're enjoying. Whew, I tell you what, how delicious. Okay. Louise, absolutely fantastic. You've given us loads of things to think about. This is about treats for Christmas for yourself and for other people. You can find Louise at Seven Cellars on the Seven Dials and also at Brighton train station. It's been a delight, and thank you. And we wish you all the very best for the season.
Thank you very
ho.
much.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
now glowing.
Me
I'm
too.
glowing. I'm glowing, listeners.
My face is bright red.
It's lovely. I have to remember that this is a working day. Oh, I love this kind of radio whenever we get to taste lovely things. So thank you so much for bringing this selection. So Louise Oliver from Seven Cellars here on the Food and Drink Show with myself, Karen Morton. It is our seasonal delight, the December show.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.